This is the new 2022 GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate, and it's a highly luxurious pickup truck. The GMC Sierra Denali has always been a luxury truck, but now for 2022, there's this, the Denali Ultimate, with even more luxury and a sticker price of around $85,000. And today, I'm going to review the Ultimate Sierra Denali. Before I get started, be sure to check out Cars and Bids, which is my enthusiast car auction website for cool cars from the modern era, now with free listings. You can list your cool cars for free and auction them on Cars and Bids. And we've had some great sales recently, including this F10 BMW M5, which sold for over $38,000 in a great color with a 6-speed manual. This Saab 9-4X SUV, which brought just under $10,000. We love the quirky stuff. And this Lexus LX 450 with low mileage, which brought almost $50,000 as enthusiasts are flocking to the 80 series Land Cruiser. If you're interested in buying or selling a cool car from the modern era, the 1980s and up, Cars and Bids is the place to do it, with daily auctions and great selection at carsandbids.com. So let's talk Sierra Denali Ultimate. When the GMC Sierra Denali first came out about 20 years ago, it was basically the very first luxury pickup truck, and it was a huge deal. But these days, everybody is in the luxury truck space. So GMC wanted to make their luxury truck stand out even more. Enter the Sierra Denali Ultimate, which is a step above the already luxurious Sierra Denali. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what it has. First, I'll take you on a thorough tour of the new Sierra Denali Ultimate and show you all of the quirks and features you get with a starting price of around 85 grand. Then I'll get it out on the road and drive it, and then I'll give it a Doug score. Alright, I'm going to start the quirks and features, the Sierra Denali Ultimate, with a little overview of exactly what this truck is. Like I said, the Sierra Denali has been for years GMC's luxury pickup truck, but now with so many other brands in the luxury truck space, I think they wanted to reassert themselves with a top-of-the-top line truck, the Denali Ultimate. Now, pricing starts, like I said, around $85,000, $84,000 to be exact, but then you add destination and there are a few options, and this can get very, very expensive, even in today's world of some very expensive luxury trucks. This is kind of a top dog. So what do you get for 85 grand in the Sierra Denali Ultimate? Well, for one thing, these wheels. These are distinctive to the Denali Ultimate. Amazingly, these are 22s, even though they look small. Wheels are just getting so big in vehicles, and these are the wheels you get with the Sierra Denali Ultimate. And next up, another difference between the Denali Ultimate and other Sierra models is the grille. The Ultimate has this kind of black polished chrome grille. GMC calls this Vader Chrome, and it's unique to the Ultimate. And they're using it on the GMC badge as well. So you don't have a red GMC badge in front like on all the other Sierra models. You get the Vader Chrome grille and the Vader Chrome badge. Same deal in back, Vader Chrome badge here. So that's one way to tell apart the Ultimate from the other trucks. And next up, another change to the Ultimate trucks is right here. This badge here on the front fender. You can see it says Ultimate, but then behind that there are some lines. It turns out that's a relief map of Denali, the tallest mountain in North America, obviously what these trucks are named for, and those little lines are a relief map showing some part of that mountain. But anyway, next we climb inside to see more Ultimate touches, and one thing you quickly discover is that relief maps are kind of a thing in this car. From the moment you open the door on the door sill, you have another Ultimate badge, but then behind that, a relief map, again showing some part of Denali, and then coordinates that link you to Denali, the tallest peak in North America. You come further inside the Ultimate, and you immediately notice the seats, which are beautiful. This gorgeous brown leather, very luxurious, very attractive. GMC tells me the name for this leather is Vecchio Sauvage. I am not making that up. That's what they said. If you want to sound incredibly pretentious, you can use that phrase, vecchio sauvage. But you see the beautiful contrast stitching, white and brown. It just looks great. And at the top of the seat on the backrest, you have the lines, you guessed it, a relief map of Denali. And also at the top of the seat, another ultimate badge with a relief map behind it and some coordinates once again. Like I said, relief map's a theme in this interior, and it's the same deal in the center console. This beautiful brown leather vecchio sauvage, and in the center of it, a little storage panel with lines, again, a relief map showing Denali, or so they say. And that continues over on the passenger side, where you have probably the most obvious relief map of them all on the dashboard. You can see it here imprinted into this wood. There's a relief map. All these lines, again, showing a relief map of Denali, and once again, you have the coordinates also printed into the wood. This is a very beautiful look, I must say, and the wood itself is gorgeous. GMC says this is Palado wood, which is sort of a special wood from a special tree in Asia, and you have some here on the dashboard over on the passenger side, and you also have some on the door panel, some more of this Palado wood, which really helps class up this interior. And by the way, speaking of the door panels, once again, this vecchio sauvage leather, beautiful contrast stitching, and another relief map imprinted into the leather, as you can see. And you also have another ultimate badge on the door panel with, once again, another relief map and more coordinates. They're really pushing that whole Denali relief map coordinates thing hard in this interior. But this truck is about a lot more than just high quality leather and stitching and a lot of relief maps. It also comes standard with a lot of equipment. For example, a 6.2 liter V8. That's the top level engine offered in the Sierra, and it's standard in the Denali Ultimate. It makes 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, so it has some real muscle. But you don't have to get that powertrain. If you want to, you can opt for the Duramax 6-cylinder diesel that's also offered in these trucks, and that'll give you 277 horsepower and the same 460 pound-feet of torque. The benefit there is fuel economy, of course, also driving range and maybe a little towing benefit, and plus not everybody wants a big V8, so you can opt for that 6-cylinder diesel. Now, other stuff that's standard with this truck, 4-wheel drive. All Denali Ultimate models have 4-wheel drive, no 2-wheel drive models available. And all Denali Ultimate models come standard with adaptive ride control, which is like an electronic suspension system that really works constantly all the time, every millisecond, to adjust the ride and the suspension for the most comfortable ride possible. They put that in the Denali trucks for a true luxurious experience. Also important to point out that the Denali Ultimate comes standard with Super Cruise, which is General Motors' top-of-the-line driver assist system that will steer for you, accelerate, brake, go around curves, all on mapped roads that the system knows and that's been mapped. It's an impressive system, and it works quite well. As you can see here, I'm totally hands-off. The system is driving the truck for me. I'm on the highway, it's going around curves, slowing down, speeding up based on the vehicles in front of me. It's really one of the very best of these latest driver assist systems if you're on one of the mapped roads. Fortunately, General Motors has mapped almost all of the major interstates and freeways in North America, so you're pretty much always on a mapped road if you're on an interstate highway, and the system works great. Now, one important thing to mention about Super Cruise in this truck, it will automatically change lanes for you. You can have it change lanes by just pressing the turn signal, and it'll look for an opening and then go change lanes and move on. But there's a 2022 update to Super Cruise that will actually automatically change lanes. You have it set to 70 miles an hour, for instance, and you come upon a slower car going 50, the system will look for an opening to your left, automatically change lanes to go around the slower car, and continue driving. This is a pretty cool feature because then you don't have to put in the work to making lane changes to pass slower people in most situations, but there are some drawbacks to this feature. For one thing, it's not tremendously predictive. So if you have a slow car, you're coming up on the middle lane, it'll change lanes to the left, even if there's a slower car in the left lane further ahead. A normal driver driving would see that and maybe not make that lane change, but auto lane change Super Cruise will. The other problem with auto lane change is it keeps changing lanes to the left, and it'll do that all the way into an HOV lane, even if you're not an HOV driver, and it's disappointing that the system can't recognize when there's an HOV lane and not change lanes into it. But overall, Super Cruise is a fantastic system. I love it in all of General Motors applications. It works great. It's optional on the regular Sierra Denali, but standard on the Denali Ultimate. But anyway, next up, speaking of Super Cruise, here's an interesting quirk for Sierra Denali models equipped with it. The rear bumper is different in trucks with Super Cruise. That's because there are sensors back here under the rear your bumper for Super Cruise to look behind you and see what's coming. And so trucks equipped with Super Cruise have a smaller step right here. This little side step is smaller in Super Cruise Sierra models than it is in regular Sierra models to account for those sensors. So one way to tell from the outside if one of these trucks is equipped with Super Cruise is to just look at the size of the bumper step. If it's the smaller one, it has Super Cruise. And by the way, speaking of little details you can tell apart on the outside of these trucks, in front, the front bumper has this big chrome panel. You can see it here, it looks cool. Well, that's only on the V8s. If you get the diesel, that panel is gone in favor of a vent, which is used for heat extraction. So you can easily tell apart the V8 and the diesel on the outside just by whether it has that chrome panel. But back to the rear of this truck for a fantastic feature, that would be this tailgate. Now, a lot has been made about GMC's latest multi-pro tailgate system that can do all sorts of stuff, which I'll show you in a second, but this particular version is especially cool because it has built-in speakers. You put down this panel, you pop it open, and you can see a kicker audio system back here with speakers, a USB port, an aux port. You can plug in music to your tailgate and listen to it. And then you can change the configuration of the tailgate so it's actually pointing out and providing music for whatever event or gathering you've pulled your truck up to, and that is a very cool touch, a really nice benefit of this tailgate. And like I said, there are a lot of benefits of this tailgate. You can change and configure its positioning in several different ways. For instance, you can put down the top part so only the center inner piece is down. If you're carrying like long pieces of lumber, you don't want them to come out the back of the bed, well, now they won't. You can also drop the tailgate and pop open this rear panel, and it serves as sort of a bed extender, also to keep stuff from coming out of your bed and give you a couple of extra feet, which is neat. And you can even use this whole tailgate system as a step to get into the bed. So drop it down to its lowest configuration. You can step on this point here, and there's even a railing you can pull out. Pull it out here, it sticks into place, and then you step on the bed step, pull on the railing, and you can climb right into the bed. There are even more uses to the tailgate than just that, but to me those are the main ones, and it's a very useful tailgate, especially with a speaker in it. But anyway, since I'm on the outside of this truck, also worth pointing out that the 2022 model year, in addition to the arrival of the Ultimate model, also brings a facelift or a refresh, and that includes a new front end look in all of the Sierra models. The Denalis will get their own headlights that's distinctive from the headlights in the other trucks, and they have a little welcome animation that they do when you walk up and unlock the doors. You can see the LEDs become sort of gradually brighter to welcome you to your truck. Not as fun of an animation as some cars have, but it's a step in the fun animation direction at least. And moving back inside, there are other changes for the 22 model year beyond all the cool stuff you get with the Ultimate model. You open up the door and you can see the power running board, which extends to make it easier to climb in. That's not a change for 22, but it is still cool and worth looking at. But anyway, you climb in here, and one of the first things you notice is the giant center screen. Big new screen. This is new for the 22 model year, and it's fantastic. Very intuitive, very responsive, a really great system. And for 22, it also adds Google capabilities. So it has Google Assistant and Google Maps built in, which makes it easier to use since most people are used to using those things in their computers, their smartphones. Well, now here it is in your truck. You also have fantastically high quality cameras in here, one of the very best camera systems in the industry on this great new screen. The screen isn't as big as the one in the new Ram 1500 pickups, but I think it's easier to operate and a little bit better, especially with Google integration for the 22 model year. I don't think this screen is quite as good as the massive one in the new Ford F-150 Lightning, but until that trickles down into other F-150 models, this is pretty much the best in the business right now, and it works great. But anyway, other new features for 22 in here, a major one is the gear selector, which is borrowed from the new Hummer EV pickup truck. You just kind of tilt it in the direction where you want to shift, so forward for reverse, backward for drive, and there's a button on top for park, and that shift lever is new for 22. But beyond new stuff, other items worth noting in here, the gauge cluster screen. You have a rather large one, as you can see, full color, high resolution, and it gives you some great information. A lot of different stuff about the truck is shown on your gauge screen. Maybe more interesting than that is the heads-up display, projected ahead of you on the windshield, standard in the Denali Ultimate, and massive. Full color, gives a lot of information. There's all sorts of stuff on here, including a real-time following distance meter. It tells you precisely how many seconds of following distance you are behind the car in front of you. And you can see it updates as I speed up or slow down to give that car more space. It actually tells me in real time precisely my following distance, which is a pretty cool feature. But anyway, on to the other interesting quirks and features in this interior. For one thing, an absolutely bizarre engine start stop button. You can see it here, shaped strange, it's silver. It's not like a red circle like in most other cars or a black circle. It almost looks like a lever to turn on the parking brake or go into four-wheel drive, but it's your engine start stop. Certainly distinctive from all the other ones I've ever seen. And speaking of interesting controls in here, how about this button in the center control stack? This will lower all the windows at once. You press that and they all go down, so you don't have to individually lower the windows on a beautiful day when you want to enjoy a breeze. I love that button and I wish more cars had it, and it's great to see it in here. One disappointment though, it won't raise all the windows back up. It only lowers them. So if you drop all the windows, you have to individually raise them on your driver's side switch panel. And next up, another cool feature in here is the rear view mirror, which is actually also a screen. You can see right now it's a mirror and I'm seeing what's behind me, but if I flip this switch, it is now a camera and I can see what's behind me even better. The benefit here is if you have rear passengers or a camper shell or your bed is full of stuff, you can't see behind you with a standard mirror, but with the camera system, you can look past all that stuff and get a great view of what's behind, and I love this feature and I wish more cars had it. Another nice item worth noting in here is a wireless cell phone charger. Pretty standard fare, but I like the fact that they've sort of hidden it under the center console storage area, kind of stuck in here. Leaves the phone convenient, but not exposed to bouncing around when you go over a bump. It's a pretty nice place. So you're thinking this truck has a lot of cool benefits, some nice features. Are there any drawbacks? And indeed, I would say there are. And the biggest, in fact, is actually materials and quality. This interior has a lot of really nice touches. The Palladio wood, the Vecchio Sauvage leather, so much looks good in here. And yet, so much also looks kind of cheap. Look in the center console and you see just a lot of plastic trim. Is this what you'd expect in an $85,000 to $90,000 vehicle? It's hard to say yes. And General Motors doesn't bother changing switchgear in its ultra expensive vehicles. So the turn signal stock is the exact same from the base model. Same deal with the buttons you press on the steering wheel. Same deal with all of the window switches, the locks, all the controls on the door panel. In fact, basically everything you touch is taken right out of a base model cheap GMC Sierra, which is a shame. You pay 90 grand and all the touch points are the same. It just looks a little cheap. And same deal with the key. This is what you get. This plastic key doesn't say Denali or Ultimate, doesn't really look all that special. Kind of a disappointment at this ultra luxury car price point. Also, another drawback in here, no panoramic sunroof. You do have a sunroof in here, but only over the first row of seats, not the back seats. Just a little bit of a shame because Ford does offer a panoramic roof. You can't get it on this, even though it's the Ultimate. And next up, we move on to the back seat in the Sierra Denali Ultimate, where you'll find actually another good example of the cost cutting I was talking about a second ago. And it's right when you open the door. You can see the door sill is just this kind of crappy plastic trim, and it doesn't even say anything on it. In front, it says Ultimate here with that badge and the coordinates, although even that is surrounded by so much crappy plastic, it doesn't really look all that great. But in back, they took out even that Ultimate badge. They decided to just cost cut it away, and so it doesn't say anything. Just a little bit of a disappointment when you get in back here. But once you climb inside, you will find a lot of nice things back here, including a lot of rear seat room. This truck is big in back. Leg room, knee room, hip room, head room, you got it all. It's huge back here, and it really underscores how these trucks can be used as family cars if you want them to. Now, also in back, you have that same beautiful brown leather like you had in front, the Vecchio Sauvage, including all of the nice contrast stitching. Everything looks great back here, and once again, on the seat backrest, you have those relief maps imprinted into the leather, as you can see. Even in the back seat, they don't escape the relief maps, and that's also true on the backs, the front seats. You can see this little storage pouch also has a relief map imprinted into the leather on the pouch, again giving you more relief maps. Absolutely an overall theme of this truck. But anyway, other items worth noting in the back seat. For one thing, you have climate vents back here, although they're relatively small and you don't have any climate controls, but it's still nice to see the vents back here. That's good for rear seat passengers. Now, in between the climate vents, you can see heated rear seats, which is a nice touch in a luxury vehicle, and two different charge ports, USB-C and USB-A. Unfortunately, no household charge port back here, which is a little disappointment because some rivals do offer that, but you still do have charge ports for rear passengers, and I like that. I also like the in-seat storage. If you pull on this loop in the seat back, it opens up and there's a little storage compartment back here for little items if you don't want them rolling around or if you want to keep them private, which is kind of cool. you have that on both sides. So driver and passenger side on the rear seat, you have these little in-seat storage compartments. And you can also lift up the seat base, as you can see, and there's a large storage compartment under here where you can stick stuff, again, to keep it from rolling around, or if you don't want to put it in the bed because it might get wet or stolen, you can stick it under your seat, which is nice to have. Also back here, you have a sliding rear window, as a lot of pickup trucks do. This one is controlled up front, this little switch on the overhead center console. You push that and the window slides open to give you a little extra airflow, which is a nice touch to have, especially paired with that button that drops all the windows at once. And so those are the quirks and features of the new 2022 GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate. Now it's time to get it out on the road and see how it drives. All right, driving the new Sierra Denali Ultimate. Now, I gotta say, I recently reviewed the new Chevy Silverado ZR2, which is, of course, based, this is the same, pickup underneath, and I wasn't all that impressed. I made that pretty clear. I thought it was kind of disappointing for the price point and for the segment. But, so you'd think I would have similar opinion about this truck, but it's a little bit of a different story. The ZR2 is aimed at that kind of off-road pickup truck world, and it really is not that great in that world. It's too expensive, it doesn't offer enough capabilities, and it's just not gonna be what the TRX is or the Raptor. However, this truck is a little bit of a different story. It is aimed at the luxury pickup truck world. It is priced similar to other luxury trucks, higher, but it also has more stuff. And also the Denali has been sort of a mainstay in the luxury truck world. If the Raptor is the king of the off-road truck world, then the Denali is the king of the luxury truck world, and has been for a long time. And I gotta say, there's a lot to like in here. There really is. For one thing, major props to GMC for loading this truck up with everything. Part of the problem with the Denali in recent years has been, well, it's a luxury truck, but you gotta add this, 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 this. Well, the Ultimate has it all. And they didn't compromise and say, well, you get the Ultimate, but you still have to do this. No, you get four-wheel drive, you get the 6.2 V8, you get all the leather and everything. You even get Super Cruise Standard, which is really cool. I'm understanding that the Yukon Denali Ultimate, you have to pay extra for Super Cruise still. Here you get it. And that's a really distinguishing feature of this truck. And I think it really is gonna help set this truck apart, which it kind of needs to because it's so expensive, around 85 grand. General Motors was saying that this would start 81, 82, and then I think, supply shortages and inflation have pushed the price up a little bit right before the launch. So this is gonna be an expensive truck, but it really does deliver. I kind of make fun of all the relief map stuff in here, but it's really kind of cool looking, and most of it's pretty subtle. I pointed out so you can see it, but generally speaking, you're just sitting here on this beautiful leather seat, you got nice trim all around you, everything's good. Now, I mentioned there are some areas of cost cutting, which is disappointing, but that's true in all the full-size luxury trucks. They always try to just tart up what they can, and they leave a little bit more than I would at this price point. The truck manufacturers would argue, hey, it's a luxury car and it has the capabilities of a pickup truck, so you're getting two vehicles in one, so don't complain that it's not like a full luxury car, and I guess I understand that. I just wish it was a little bit nicer. Still, it's really nice, and that's especially true for 22 with this giant center screen. It's fantastic, like I said, easy to use. Google Assistant, Google everything is great. There's a lot of great stuff in here. Now, as for the driving situation with this truck, the Denalis for the last few years, ever since they've been using the adaptive ride control, the Denalis have been wonderful riding trucks. They really are. You still hear more than I would like you to. You still hear a lot of tire noise and a lot of road noise from other vehicles. But that's sort of a reality of trucks. It's kind of difficult because of the way a truck is constructed, the body on frame, the cab separate from the bed, to engineer some of like the full luxury carness into the truck. But from a ride perspective, it does feel just very comfortable and very nice, more than most every other truck. I have to say the new Hummer EV and the new F-150 Lightning both feel more comfortable than this. I think there might be something to that with electric trucks specifically. Maybe it's the weight down low, something with the suspension, I'm not exactly sure. But they feel more comfortable. As for gas trucks, this is really a fantastic one. Now, this powertrain, it's an interesting thing with this powertrain. It feels great. I mean, it has good muscle, it's strong, you don't hear a lot of it, which I think is a good thing, but it's not really fast. And it's kind of funny because 420 horse, 460 pound-feet from a big NA V8, even just 5 years ago, that would have been a huge thing, but now we got Raptor, we got TRX, we got the Lightning. This just is not really a crazy powertrain anymore. It's good, it's fine, but it doesn't feel like crazy like it once did when they were putting the old 6.0 in the Denalis back in the 2000s. This truck has a lot of benefits in a lot of areas. It's got a beautiful interior, it's got a lot of great features, great tech, it's got good power, it's got that Denali name, four-wheel drive standard. There's a lot of good stuff here. And if you're looking for a luxury truck, the Denali always should be on your shopping list, and this new one should continue to kind of keep its place there. It really does belong. It's a nice truck. And so that's the new 2022 GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate. This is an impressive truck with some great luxury touches and equipment and some excellent technology and features. And even though there's a lot more competition in the luxury pickup truck space than there was when the Denali first came out 20 years ago, this is still a very compelling truck. Some might say it's the ultimate. Anyway, now it's time to give the Sierra Denali Ultimate a Doug score. And the Doug score is here, 52 out of 100, which places the Sierra Denali Ultimate here against other new trucks. Although it's in the middle of this chart, the Sierra Denali Ultimate actually scores really well here because the Doug score is meant to favor performance cars, and that means it favors off-road trucks like the Ford Raptor that have more exciting capabilities off the pavement. If you instead want something a bit more luxurious and daily usable, that's the Sierra Denali Ultimate. It's not as fun or exciting as a Raptor or a Tundra TRD Pro or even a Chevy Silverado ZR2, but the Sierra Denali Ultimate is more comfortable and plush with good tech and great materials, and it's maybe the best luxury pickup on the market today.